What's going on, my fellow rock and rollers? Don't forget to smash the bell notification icon to be notified every time I put out a new video on my channel. Today we're talking about the band Spacehog. And Spacehog was a glam-influenced band that sprung up during the mid-90s that really was remembered for one huge hit song, which was In the Meantime, from their debut record, 1995's Resident Alien. And I don't think most people who have heard of the band can name another song from the group. The band consisted of brothers Royston and Anthony Langdon on bass and guitar, as well as vocals, as well as Richard Steele on lead guitar and Johnny Craig on drums, along with Timo Ellis on keyboard and other instruments. Royston was the frontman and the bassist who sang lead on most of the band's songs, and they were an English rock band that formed in New York in 1994, and they were influenced by the glam styling of fellow British rockers including David Bowie and T-Rex. Originally, the band wanted to call themselves Grass, but eventually landed on the name Spacehog. Co-founder and drummer Johnny Craig would tell an interviewer Royston moved to New York in 1994. He was 24 years old and he had a band in Leeds prior to that. He took a couple songs he had written in that band, the Zeros, and wrote a couple more. They became the backbone of what was to become Resident Alien, including Meantime, Zeros, Candyman, Dictator, and Cruel to Be Kind. Anthony wrote a couple, and when Richard joined the band, Roy had an emerging idea of what worked best for us compositionally. Because myself and Rich had been in a couple bands before, we could quickly articulate those songs and make them sound like us, he would conclude. The band wasted no time getting a record deal, as the same year they were formed, they inked a deal with Elektra Records. The band's guitarist Anthony Langdon would tell Spin magazine how he used to be surprised by the band's immediate success, saying, "There was something a bit retro about what we were doing, and it felt like the glam aspect was a bit in the past when everyone was walking around in plaid and looking really grungy," he'd say. The group would record their debut record Resident Alien in Woodstock, New York, and the band would rent a barn for about a month or two to record the album. In October of 1995, the band would release their debut record featuring the hit single In the Meantime, and the song immediately went to #1 on the rock charts where it stayed there for 4 weeks. The album itself would go gold, selling over 500,000 copies, and In the Meantime was licensed heavily, especially in British media, including by the BBC for their March of the Day football program, and would also appear in the video games Guitar Hero 5 and Rock Band 3 as on-disc songs. The video also received heavy rotation on MTV, and drummer Johnny Craig would shine some more light on the composition of the song, telling an interviewer, "Roy wrote the song with a busy and free signal combined from an English telephone. The tone modulates for the chorus, the drums are pretty straightforward quasi-hip-hop mid-tempo backbeat, and Ant does a very effective Pixies-esque guitar part, and Rich has the Mick Ronson power balladry. Oh yeah, and the bass playing and singing aren't bad either," he'd say. "We knew we had something pretty special, but you never know how things are going to play out, do you?" Frontman Royston Langdon would give his own version of how he wrote the hit song, saying, "Every now and then when you make a phone call to the UK, you would get a cross line while you were calling someone. It's the sound of the phone ringing and then the sound of the phone being engaged at the same time. I liked it and it just stayed in my head. I knew it was one of those things," he'd say. The album also featured another single in Cruel to Be Kind, but it wouldn't fare as well as In the Meantime. And the band would hit the road touring behind the record for almost 2 years, and even opened for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, before turning their attention to their follow-up record, The Chinese Album, which came out in 1998. The Chinese Album was originally going to be the soundtrack for a film called Mungo City, which was later renamed The Chinese Movie. It was based around a concept of a band moving to Hong Kong after failing to make it big in New York. The idea would fall through, but the album would feature a song named Mungo City that was also released as a single and showed off the band's David Bowie and Queen influences. Michael Stipe of REM would also contribute vocals to the song Almond Kisses. Mungo City would be a top 40 hit on rock radio, but the album itself failed to even chart and failed to match the commercial success of their debut record. Despite that, the band still got several high-profile opening slots for Pearl Jam and Supergrass to promote the record. Following the release of the Chinese album, the band was dropped by the record label. The band would end up signing with Artemis Records to release their third and final record of the 2000s called The Legacy in April of 2001. Like the Chinese album, the record failed to make much of a mark, although the single I Wanna Live would peak at number 23 on the alternative mainstream rock charts. This period would mark the band's final major tour for over a decade, as they would open for both Oasis and the Black Crowes on their Brotherly Love tour. By 2001, the band would break up. It would seem that Royston and Anthony would go long periods of time without talking, as Anthony would tell Spin magazine, Yes, we've had a lot of ups and downs, which is definitely a cliche about brothers. Look at the Gallaghers. I definitely miss them. I've always held my brother in high esteem, and I think there's a deep love between me and my brother because we were so close growing up. And then we were in a band for 10 years, and you get bored with the other person's bullshit. Everyone's got their shit. When you're family, you can easily look inside each other's heads. And Royston gave his own version of events of why the band broke up, saying, "When we finally made the Hoggassy, there was a lot of creative differences with the label and within the group. I've never really been happy with that record, so touring the record in 2001 was hard work. We were pulling in all different directions, which is not good for a band, and our final show was supposed to be on the 8th of September in 2001. He would say, "I remember riding with my brother on a motorcycle to the airport. We got to the airport and the plane had been delayed because of weather in the Midwest. We got sent to every other airport in the New York area, and ultimately we never made our flight that was supposed to take us to a festival somewhere in Fargo. It just never happened, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I remember seeing the guys throwing our gear off the airplane onto the tarmac because we weren't going to make the flight. It felt poetic, and then September 11th happened a few days later, and it was really destabilizing for everybody. Given where we were at the time, it just really blew us apart, and that was really it. And I went off to work on just writing my own music and met with a lot of almost ran situations but never quite got it to work. It was also around this time that Royston would marry Steven Tyler's daughter, Liv Tyler, but the couple would break up in 2008. Royston would also audition and write songs with the supergroup Velvet Revolver, while his brother Anthony would work a variety of jobs, including becoming a somewhat successful Hollywood actor. 5 years after breaking up, the brothers would finally come together in 2006 to form the group Art Kid, but after much work to even put out a record, nothing would materialize. However, the seeds for a reunion of Spacehog would happen the same year when, according to Royston, who told Entertainment Weekly, Johnny Craig turned 40 and he said, "I want to get all the bands I've ever played in to play at my birthday party." And one of those was Spacehog, so we all got together, and that was 2006. So we had a 4-year break and everything had kind of calmed down a little bit, and I realized that there's something really magical that I don't think any of us were able to find elsewhere, he'd say. And the band would officially reunite in 2008 and would release their follow-up record, 2013's As It Is on Earth. Since then, the band has toured, but they haven't put out a new record in over 7 years. Let me know your thoughts on Spacehog in the comments section below. Did you guys pick up their album Resident Alien back in 1995 or 96? And let me know if there was any other songs you liked from them besides In the Meantime. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. And if you guys want to support my channel, simply watch another video or go check us out on Patreon. Take care.